morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to our wonderful Sunday morning experience. A good lesson this morning. I kind of set this in motion because I knew what was going to happen doing Alan Watts for the past 4 weeks. It was a great experience. I was sharing with the class Wednesday night on the Behold the Spirit book. That how many have it and have read it and know about it? Okay, worth your time? You bet. One of the things he was pointing out is the realization, as we are aware of in religious science, is that our challenge is to erase the consciousness that says I am separated from my experience, because we're not separated from our experience. Alan Watts said you can take a telescope and look at the farthest thing you can find in the universe, and if you know what and who you are, you will realize that what you're looking at is yourself. That we are the understanding of the unfoldment of divine mind in action as us. I shared Wednesday night that if you really want to be one with God, how many would like to do that? Okay, very simple. Here's Alan Watts' formula. Here's Ernest Holmes' formula, because it's the same thing. And that is the realization that we have to do a couple of things. One, understand principle. Know it is there. Know it is everything we are. And then take the next step, and the next step is to trust it. That's how you become one with God. You understand principle and you trust it. You understand that it made you out of itself. As Alan Watts said, the wave that rises out of the ocean, sometimes forget it has the whole ocean to back it up. It's not just a wave. It's not just one thing. It is part of what? The whole thing. Everyone say, I'm part of the whole thing. See, what are we told? 2,000 years ago, somebody came along and said, whatever you do to the least of these, you do unto me. Same thing. You see, whatever you're doing to the least of anything in your world, you're doing unto yourself, so why not do the best? Why not be the gift of I am to everything that comes into your life? That's what we're talking about this morning, the realization that the understanding of mystical awareness is one that we can embody, but as Alan Watts shared, as Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes used to point out, Dr. Holmes, that a lot of people come along and get just enough of our teaching to become a menace. They become just get enough of the teaching to think that they can, now I know cause and effect, now I can run around manipulating every person, place, and thing in my life. That's not what it's about. Everyone say, I'm not here to manipulate anything. But I am here to direct myself. See, and that's what it's about. Remember about 30 years ago, my dear friend Terry and I were youth directors together for 5 years before I became a minister, as Terry Cole Whitaker, and she wrote a wonderful book. How many have it in your library? What you think of me is none of my business. Everybody turn to somebody near you and say, what you think of me is none of my business. I was looking this week I want to give you a wonderful handout to take home with you and contemplate. Two of our, of course, Dr. Ernest Holmes, but one of our greatest and most wonderful teachers was Dr. Tom Johnson. How many are Tom Johnson fans? Tom was just absolutely wonderful, and of course was here every chance we had to have him. We miss him terribly. He made transition, I guess, about 6 or 7 years ago. Tom said this, and listen to it. I'm reading this for YouTube. You have it in your hand. We all have had a variety of experience, some good, some bad. Perhaps we may have been fired or had a relationship in, or someone we love may have moved on to the next expression of life, eternal. No matter what we have experienced, which may seem negative or feel painful, we must get on with living. Everybody say, I need to get on with living. Had a beautiful experience yesterday. We had to treat because I did a wedding yesterday And when the couple planned the wedding and the date, which was absolutely wonderful, except for one thing, it's in Gilroy, and they didn't realize they planned it the day the festival opened. So we had a rehearsal Friday morning, and then we had the wedding yesterday. It was great. And what was wonderful about the wedding is, having been here for 36 years, it's Mark and Joyce Ashley. They have been standing here if you don't know, every Valentine's Sunday, every year we do a reaffirmation of wedding vows. And Mark and Joyce have done it about, 25 times with me. I was here when their children were born. I performed the wedding for their daughter, who is now a mother, and their grandparents. We're going to do the christening here soon. And then I did the wedding yesterday for Cameron, their son, and his beautiful wife, Tracy. And it was a beautiful wedding. We had about 250 people. What was absolutely wonderful was the fact that the ring bearer was their Chihuahua Pomeranian dog. Okay. So we're standing there at the wedding, and I'm standing there, and here's the groom and the bride. Here's the groom, and the bride hadn't come in yet, and his party and the bride's party's over here, and here comes the dog. And they promised me, they said, the dog is going to be fine, it's going to come right down, and he's standing there saying, come on, and they had the rings on the collar, and here comes the dog. And the dog had to stop and say hello to every single person on the aisle. And it got almost the thing and turned around and went back and caught the people on the other side. I'm here. And so they went out, got him, picked him up, and we got the rings all right. And it was a wonderful day. And the traffic wasn't bad at all. They all get to Gilroy early and then stay all day. How many love the Gilroy Cardiac Festival? You know, it was just picked as the #1 festival in the country if you haven't been to it. But it is great. Everyone say, the gift of I am. The gift of I am. Now, the gift of I am, as you, is always waiting to come forth. The joy we have in giving it is wonderful, because as we give the gift of I am, and as we give from the awareness of love, of harmony, of peace, of joy, which is everything that we are, it arrived with us when we arrived, we are told it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. That gift has already arrived, but there's a lot of people who haven't opened it yet. There's a lot of people who haven't given it yet. And the wonderful thing about this gift is the gift is greater to the giver than it is to anyone else. I give, there was a wonderful song we used to sing back in the 70s, to give is my reason to live. To give is my reason to live. To give is my reason to be. To give is my reason to celebrate the joy of myself. Dr. Holmes says in the handout I gave you, the special attribute of self-consciousness is that which gives us the power of choice. Now, as Dr. Barker used to point out, as I have been teaching for 36 years, everyone say, I choose to choose. See, now, if you don't choose to choose, you're going to demonstrate something that will choose for you. You know, you've heard me tell the story a number of times. When I was in the radio station at San Francisco, and a Protestant minister came up and said, Dr. J, said, I listen to your program all the time. I said, that's great. Thank you. He said, yeah. He said, I really like what you teach. It's really wonderful, except for one thing. He said, you people believe you have choice. And I said, yes, we do. And he said, well, I don't believe we have choice. I said, well, that's your choice. That's your choice. Dr. Holmes says, this is certainly a supreme gift of God to man. It enables him to choose his own destiny, accepting divine wisdom and power in such a way that he can have that chosen destiny and have it become his experience. My experience is my chosen destiny. Everyone say, I appreciate what I know I am. I appreciate what I know I am. Now, The challenge we have is to know that there is no difference between the world we see and ourselves. Our gift to the world around us is the realization that we have the power and the glory and the love and the health and the happiness and the intelligence within ourselves. We don't have to get it from someplace else. All we have to do is discover it and let it be what? Known to the world around us. Alan Watts pointed out that if the wrong person uses the right thing is used in the wrong way. Okay. The right thing is used in the wrong way. Okay. How many know people that have the possibility of the right thing, but they're using it in the wrong way? And their life is something that they think is coming from outside of them. You see, if you believe, we were just talking before, we have some visitors here this morning, that if you believe in an anthropomorphic being sitting on a throne somewhere that makes up rules and regulations for you to follow, then what you are saying is, I am insecure within myself. Because you see, our challenge is to know that we have the possibility to do what? To honor principle, to know principle in action is us, as us, and the only thing we need to do is honor that and let go, as Emerson said, and understand that our religion is what we're doing with ourselves 24 hours a day. It's not the rules and regulations we follow or the stories we have to believe in order to be part of that religion. You see, this is why Ouspensky said at the beginning of the last century, it's what we were just talking about, Paramahansa Yogananda and Sri Aurobindo pointed out, that it is the essence within ourselves that the world needs to brighten itself. It's not something outside of ourselves. We are the essence we're looking for. Everyone say, what I'm looking for, I'm looking with. See, and you're not going to discover anything that's not already within you. It takes a while to understand that, primarily because, you see, a lot of people are trapped. See, they're trapped in a very interesting way metaphysically, is they understand that oneness is good enough to be true, but they're trying to see it through a consciousness of duality. They're in duality with a oneness vocabulary. The idea is to be in oneness understanding duality, not in duality knowing about oneness. And when you are oneness in action, nothing is in the way of you. Everyone say, when I know what and who I am. How many have heard this before? I've been teaching it for 36 years. You ready? I can move through anything and be unmoved by it. See, because you're greater than anything you're moving through. You're greater than any challenge you have in your life. You're greater than any experience that has come along and put its foot on your neck. All you have to do is say, I've had enough of this, and get the consciousness to move forward free of it. Because it's not there unless you insist that it has to be there. See? Our challenge is to do what? You see, when we wake up and realize it is not our responsibility to pursue the positive, what we need to do is be the positive. The pursuit itself is what is keeping it away from us. See, this is where Alan Watts used to upset people. He called them Zazen, not Zen, because he pointed out that the Zen you find on the top of the mountain is the Zen you bring with you. You see, so our challenge is to understand. How many know people that are spending their whole life meditating and mantras and discipline and see? You know, Dr. Barker used to ask, how many been in this teaching 30 years? And everybody raised their hand and said, how many working on the same problem? Okay. Everyone say, knowing about this is not enough. Knowing about oneness is not enough. Knowing that great minds understood it is not enough. See, in Boys Celestial, Dr. Ernest Holmes says, it's not enough that they knew what they knew. What I need to know is what I myself can know, not just the fact that they knew it and worship the fact that they knew it and make them something greater. Because if you study them, whoever they are, east or west, they will all tell you what I am you are. What I am you are. Nobody has a copyright on it. Nobody has more of it than somebody else. We're just using it different ways.